This short guide will introduce you to the key elements of evaluating your resources and providing inclusive citations in your work. When we think of the typical research journey, we start with a research question or topic, we then identify our resources, we evaluate our research, and lastly, we cite this research in our work. We often think that critical evaluation and creating inclusive citations comes towards the end of the research journey, when the research is already complete, but this is something we'll need to include from the very first step. Inclusive citation is not just the act of citing your references, it is a methodology to shape your research question, the resources you use, and how you identify gaps and bias. Let's go back to our first step, identifying our search terms. When identifying search terms from your research question, you should start by examining your own relationship to the topic. Identify your own bias and select search terms and demographics to challenge your assumptions. When researching specific demographics, make sure those voices and communities are included in your search terms, and identify terminology used by the communities and demographics that you are writing about. The next step is to select your resource. Make sure to research outside of your module's core text and reading lists. Read widely from a variety of sources and formats. Remember that academia is not neutral and perpetuates hierarchies and bias. Explore non-academic resources such as social media, podcasts and community networks. And make use of the library's expansive collections and refer to the Digital Resource Directory. You can access the Digital Resource Directory from the library web pages. This is a list of databases, datasets, ebook collections and e-resources available to you via the library. You can filter this list to find diverse and inclusive e-resources. On the left side of the screen, select all e-resource types. Then from this drop-down menu, select Diverse Resource. Then from here, you'll have access to hundreds of databases, multimedia, and ebook and e-journal collections, which prioritize diverse perspectives. Once you've identified your search terms and your resources, you can experiment with search strategies and search filters. Academic databases perpetuate hierarchies of knowledge, and there are a few tips to improve your searches. By default, academic databases will display lists of results by relevance, which tends to favour popular articles with a global north and English language bias. You can change this default display setting, changing from relevance to date published, in order to view results by newest articles first. When searching for papers, you can usually click through to discover other published works by the author. This is useful for identifying any specific perspectives, credentials, or potential lived experience of a subject. You may also want to research the author's academic institution to discover more about their funding, their position, and research agenda. Academic databases tend to prioritise research published in the global north, and you may be missing vital research in your results. You can filter your search results by geography in most databases to seek out sources from the global south or particular regions which may otherwise be displayed at the bottom of your results or would be otherwise missing from your findings. Once you've developed your search terms, identified your resources and carried out your research, it's now time to evaluate those resources, and we'd recommend using the CRAP test. You can apply the CRAP test to all resources, starting with currency. When was the data published? Is the data now out of date? Have there been any revisions or updates since this was published? Then with relevance. Have you read a variety of resources to ensure that this particular resource is relevant to your research? Then authority. Who is the author? What are their credentials? And what makes this particular author an expert? Then accuracy. Is the information supported by evidence? Can you verify that data? And what are other experts saying about this data? Lastly is purpose. Is this information intended to promote or sell something? Is the information fact-based? Is it impartial? You may think it easier to spot misinformation outside of academic publishing, such as in blogs or newspapers, but be wary of misinformation and fake news in all formats. However, academic publishing, like all publishing, can contain misinformation. In the last 3 years, over 9,000 academic articles were retracted from academic journals for a number of reasons. And while no method of searching is foolproof, your search terms, the resources you select, and how you evaluate that research should be as thorough and inclusive as possible. Bibliometrics are often used as a marker of good quality academic information. When searching databases, you can view the number of times a paper has been cited by others. It's often assumed that the higher the number, the higher the credibility, which suggests the lower the number, the lower the credibility. It's even possible when searching to filter to just see the highest number of cited papers. We would always advise you to proceed with caution when using bibliometrics to evaluate your research. Citation counts can perpetuate bias and tend to be lower for women and people of colour. Higher number of citations can also refer to negative citations, where an author cites a work to discredit or critique the original paper. As with all research methods, we advise against using just one indicator of academic quality and to use the combination of methods in this video guide to improve your research. For further help and guidance with your research, please contact the library team.